Hey, this is WhyBeAre with BeamNG.drive, and today we're going to do something dumb. We're going to play around with the metal box. So this box is a stock prop. It comes with the game, and one of the fun things about this is there's a tuning menu, and you can do some really ridiculous things. Like you can make the box double its normal size with the exact same weight, or you could do the exact opposite and you make the box half of its normal size, but it's thousands of pounds heavier than it normally is. So it's 10,000 kilograms. That's like 22,000 pounds in a box that small. So if we put this onto the roof of a vehicle, this is what it does. It crushes right through them because it is so ridiculously heavy. If I try to drive, I can barely move because of the weight of the box. It's so tiny, yet it's almost able to completely immobilize my pickup truck. And I think the statistics of the box normally is it's 1 meter cubed, and since this is half of the size, it's 0.5 meters cubed, and it weighs 10,000 kilograms. So this box right here is a little bit denser than gold. So by the way, if you actually had a block of gold this big, that's how destructive it would be. Gold is that ridiculously heavy. So now, let's go ahead and place this thing into the bed of the pickup truck and see if we can drive it like that. And just as you'd expect, it goes straight through the bed of the pickup truck, and it's still just moving around. It's trying to settle, but it just can't for some reason, which is really unusual. But let's go ahead and see what happens if we try to drive with it in the bed of the pickup truck. So we are able to drive with it there. However, the speeds are extremely slow, and look at the wheel. The wheel is so deflated, we're basically driving on the rim. That is amazing. And by the way, I am flooring it. This is just as fast as we can go using the regular pickup truck. So you know what? We need a bigger pickup truck to carry this thing. But first, I have a new idea. What'll happen if you fling the cube at a car? So how do you even fling something that heavy at a car? Well, I have a good idea of what we can do. So the first thing we need to do is find a nice, big, wide open area like just over there. And this truck will really struggle to get there. So let's get the cube out of the truck. Come on. All right, it is out and free. So all we're going to do is just move the truck over to right around here. So we have a nice, big, wide open area. Then we're going to grab something I don't use too often. This is the rollover sled. So I'm going to place this right next to the pickup truck, and now we have a beautiful area where we can shoot the cube into a vehicle. So we'll bring the truck back over here, we'll grab the cube, and then we're going to place the cube onto the rollover sled like so. And you can see, just placing the cube on this thing bends the sled. But it should hopefully be able to fling it if it stays on. I noticed it's slowly rolling off, and now it's going to fall off at any moment. You best stay on. Oh, well, my car is a little bit inside of it. So we're going to set the car right here, right in the sun, so you can really see what happens to it. Make sure he's nice and fresh. And then go back over to the cube, put him back on the sled, and then look at the sled moving again. Sheesh. So now we can go ahead and test the sled. So we're going to do a little slow-mo on this to see what actually happens. And so far, it's looking like it's working pretty good. So it's coming at the car, and we are going to get some slow motion so we can really see what's happening here. Looking at the car, and go with 16 times slow-mo. Beautiful impact, and it did a ton of damage with one simple impact. In fact, I'm almost certain that this thing is not going to drive right. It's going to drive all kinds of messed up, and we are going to test that out real quickly. So, trying to drive it. Oh yeah, this is bad. I basically have no steering at all. So we can accelerate, not very well, but we can accelerate, and I'm sure eventually it'll crash into something. Like right over there, there's a light pole, crash into that, and the rear wheel has been torn off, so this thing's basically immobilized. So let's try that again with another car. The cube is ready to go. So now what car shall I use? How about we use something big? We're going to go Wentworth DT40L, and I want to see what kind of deformation you get on a big old bus. So first thing we got to do is just make sure it's lined up perfectly with the sled. That looks excellent. And the cube is starting to roll off, so we just reset it and hope it doesn't fall off. It is so close to falling off. Come on, hold on. Is it going to make it? Yes. Perfectly placed right in the middle of the bus. And you know what? I think it's time for round two. So we bring the cube back, and here we go. Hopefully it doesn't fall off. Just watch the bus, and come on, cube, where you at? Oh, no. I don't know exactly what happened there, but the cube didn't make it. That's strange. Maybe the sled just can't take the beating of the cube bouncing on it over and over and again. It's working fine there. Yeah, that worked perfectly fine. Don't know what that was about, but now the bus is carrying the cube. And the bus should be surprisingly good at this because it has to carry a lot of passengers, which in America can equal a lot of weight. And so far, it is slowing it down, but it's drivable, except for the fact that it's driving crooked because the bus itself is literally crooked from the impacts. Yeah, it's not a straight bus anymore. This thing has like a 10-degree angle to it, and it drives terribly. Although technically, it's always drifting. So that's a good thing if you're into drifting, I guess. So that's pretty neat. All right, so now, bring the bus out of there. And one final car that I want to crush it into. And that's the Pigeon, because I want to see it completely destroy a vehicle, and the Pigeon will be completely destroyed. I'm going to do this as a head-on collision, or actually, better yet, we'll do it as a rear collision. Like, I'm trying to load the box into my Pigeon, but I'm not really good at calculating how much weight this is going to be. So it should just completely destroy the Pigeon by doing this. And again, I'm going to keep it just outside of the shadows so we get a nice clear visual on what's going on here. And it should be fine if we also move up this just a little bit. So I'm going to teleport it right about here. That looks perfect. Then we go and find the cube, place him on the, well, we got to reposition him onto the sled. Now that the sled is moved, so we just place it right there. That looks great. Go, go, go. Pigeon, are you ready for the loading of the materials? It's just a small cube. You can take it, right? Well, I sort of missed the bed, but that's okay. It just completely crushes right through the cab, and it keeps going. It was barely slowed down by the Pigeon being in the way. It just keeps on bouncing like nothing was even there. And also, if you try to drive into it, you're going to have a bad time as well. If we try to drive into it, it's almost like crashing into a solid object. We can barely move it. Heck, we could try that again with a big, fast vehicle, and I don't think it's going to change much. Drag version, come on down, and let's see what happens. So, real fast cars should be able to go 100 miles per hour if we can sneak by the sled. I think there's just enough room to do that. Well, in fact, we don't need the sled anymore. We're done with that. So, goodbye to the sled, and now we have tons of room to accelerate. So, back it on up. And hopefully, we'll be going about 100 miles per hour on impact with the cube. I think this is enough for a fast car like the drag car. It's just about 100 miles per hour, and watch it get exploded. It literally looked like it exploded from the impact. That was wacky looking, and that is a ton of damage. There is no way it's going to be able to drive after that. It's been completely and utterly ruined. Alright, so we don't need the drag car anymore, because now I want to go back to transporting the cube. It's time for my favorite pickup truck of all time to come out and make its appearance. D35 Beast, where you at? Are you ready to carry this cube? Let's find out. Oh, that was some weird deformation, and the positioning is a little bit different. It's not actually in the bed of the truck, so I'm going to have to move the truck forward a little bit, and it moved very, very easily, and then reposition the cube into the rear, and it just exploded it. Wow, okay. Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and save this spot. And then we're going to reset the cube and the truck to make sure the cube is positioned properly. And you can see the cube is just going to fall into the bed of the truck. It's not doing anything weird like glitching inside of it. So this is just the force of the cube falling under the truck at 16 times slow-mo. So everything looks normal, and then cube goes boom. The whole rear just shakes and the bumper flies off. The interior is falling apart. You see like the extra box in there is falling off. Like just complete chaos from simply putting the cube into the bed of the truck. The good news, however, is this one can actually drive a decent amount because the D35 Beast is big and fast. Normally it is. Now, it's not super fast, but it can move a little bit. I think actually if you were to put the cube more in the middle of the truck instead of right at the end, it would make it a little bit faster because it's scraping a lot on the rear. So why don't we go ahead and try that? We'll reset the truck and then we'll back him up a little bit. About right there. That should put it right about in the middle of the bed. So we bring the cube back and wow, look at it shaking the truck from side to side. The whole front end lifted up. I don't know what's going on here, but I think we better go driving before this thing explodes or something. Literally, it just looked like it exploded. The rear cab popped off for no good reason. It still drives. And it is going a little bit faster than last time. Last time we were topping out like 10 miles per hour. And this time, we're going like 20 miles per hour. So that does in fact work, but it really doesn't help all that much. New idea now. What happens if you just put the cube in the back of the truck and let it settle? Apparently this time, absolutely nothing out of the ordinary. I don't know why the whole front end was lifting up last time, but this time it worked great. Well, if it's not going to glitch out this time, I guess we can go ahead and drive around with it and see what happens under normal circumstances. There we go. It's starting to glitch out a little bit. I saw like a little explosion on the inside of the truck. It's still driving though, and we are able to accelerate only about to 20 miles per hour. Anything more than that, and it's not happening. And this is a truck that's running 20 psi of boost, but you can always make it have more boost. So we're going to try to tune this thing up to make it be able to carry the cube a little bit better. So we're going to go to the engine. We're going to give it the stage 3 supercharger. And then for the rear suspension, I think it's already just all heavy duty stuff. Yeah, there's really not too much I can do there, but to give it a little bit of help, I might be able to increase the tire pressure a bunch, which will just give it some more support, assuming that doesn't cause the wheels to pop. We're going to see what happens. So get the cube, put it in the truck. The wheels did not pop, and you can see it's not quite riding on the rim now. We have a little bit of tire there thanks to the extra air, and if we try to drive, we are able to move at 20 miles per hour at least. Let's see if we can go a little bit faster than that thanks to the stage 3 supercharger. Come on, truck. Oh yeah, look at that. Almost 30 miles per hour. That's like 50% faster. That's a very good game. To be fair, we also are using over 50% more boost, so that makes sense. All right, so here's something fun. If we crash into a wall while carrying the cube, what happens? Well, check this out. It's only 30 miles per hour. It can't be that bad, right? And then the cube just comes in and does that. It just completely annihilates the rear of the vehicle where it's sitting. It even catches fire because the fuel tank is ruptured. Just complete destruction by this itty bitty cube of what's basically gold. After this video, I need to make a skin that just makes the cube look like gold. That'd be cool. Then we could call it the gold cube when you make it this heavy. So why don't we go one stage up in terms of metal cube carrying? We're going to go from a D series to an H series. And with the H series, we can get the H45 diesel cabster flatbed upfit, which should be able to carry the cube a bit better than the truck we were using before. So get on the truck. Whoa. Okay, it's a little bit inside of it, but that should be okay. And now I don't know if the frame is normally bent like that. Let's do a little test right quick. So we're going to reset the cube, reset the truck. Is it normally bent like that? Yeah, that's perfectly normal. But what we need to do is actually put the cube on top of the bed. And you know what? Yeah, give it a bit of a drop. It's fun when you give it a bit of a drop, don't you think? So here we go. Oh, yeah, it really crushed it, but it should be drivable. In fact, crushing it might be beneficial because now it kind of holds it in place by being crushed. It envelops the cube. So can we go faster than 30 miles per hour? Probably. We got that diesel power. The diesel got the torque to move the weight. The other one, it had lots of horsepower and a decent amount of torque, but this one's just like all torque and barely any horsepower. So it looks like in reality, we're just about going to match the speed of the D series, maybe going a little bit faster, but not by much. But again, we can do another collision where we crash into a wall and see what does the cube do. Oh, goodness. My wheel has literally just fallen off. That is how heavy the cube is. Just the weight and the movement going to the left was enough to blow out the whole left rear suspension. That is crazy. All right, so let's try this again. And then this time we're going to bring the cube down just a little bit. And an easy way to do that is we go 8 times slow-mo, let it fall, and then reset it right above the bed so it has a more gentler approach. Because maybe when it first landed, it caused some serious damage to the rear suspension. This time, the amount of damage will be minimized. So here we go. Once again, going to exit the area. And I actually noticed steering is really compromised when you have the cube on the bed. You see just how bad the turning radius is here. And normally, it doesn't steer that much worse than the truck we were driving earlier. And hopefully using the diesel H45, we'll be able to go a little bit faster than we were with the D series. I'm thinking maybe about 40 miles per hour, and then we could have another impact just like we did with the truck and watch the cube decimate the vehicle we're driving. Here we go, tight cornering. Can it take it? Yes, it can. Keep accelerating. There's an uphill. We are not going to fight the uphill. We are going to instead crash it and see what the cube does. So this is almost 40 miles per hour right into a super solid building. Let's see what happens. So 16 times slow-mo. We crash. The cube is going charging at my car. And there it goes. Just completely destroying the front half of the vehicle. It even broke the drive shaft. It hit it that hard. It is so weird just seeing the cube decimate the vehicle, even though I was carrying it surprisingly easily. So obviously we can't drive after something like that, and the amount of damage is amazing. But since we're doing all this towing stuff, we gotta do one more transportation test. We're gonna do a T-Series with the cube, and thankfully the T-Series does have something that'll work. It has the T65 flatbed upfit, so we'll get that guy spawned up. And hopefully the height is good enough for the cube just to, nope, it did the same thing as last time where the cube is a little too high. So we drop it onto the bed. Well, first, make sure it didn't cause any damage by having it inside of the truck. And that looks like a good amount of distance for some fun. So we drop it, hard hit, but it survived. And actually what we should have done is we should have upgraded the T-Series first, because with this version we don't have the best turbocharger. We can get the T600 turbocharger to make it a bit faster, and then we go ahead and reset the truck and the cube once more, and now we are ready for driving. And hopefully with this configuration we should have absolutely no problem transporting the cube. It looks hilarious, but this is not overkill. This is what's required to properly transport the cube down the highway. It just happens to look absolutely ridiculous as you do it. So here's my question. With a cube this heavy, can you actually roll it off of the truck? So we're going to do some evasive maneuvers. And on that one, I saw it tipping a bit and it started to roll, but it didn't quite roll off. But it's on the edge now. I think around this corner, we might be able to get it to roll off. So we're going to do another aggressive maneuver about 45 miles per hour. Yeah, whoa. Not exactly the outcome I was expecting there. I thought it would fall off, not take my whole truck for a ride. All right, I got one final crash I want to do with this thing on the bed of the truck. I want to go about 60 miles per hour and crash it and watch the cube destroy the cab, because the cab on the T-Series is a bit stronger than the one on the H-Series, but still it will be crumpled to bits by the little golden cube. And it looks so funny, this big old truck for this little tiny cube. That's what we need. So they're going to be going about 60 miles per hour on impact. That's good for me. Nice straight on impact into the tree. And there comes the cube. Oh my goodness. It just ate the cab alive. And there's not much left of the actual cab at all. When you look at the truck, you see the bed and then you see the engine. The cab just vanished basically from the cube, just eating it. And just for laughs, we're going to throw the cube down leap of death. It makes absolutely no sense, but we're going to do it anyways because it sounds stupid. And this whole video is just about doing stupid things with a really heavy cube. So you grab the metal box. I know I call it cube and it's called box. It doesn't make a difference. It's the same thing. And then we make it as dense as it can possibly be. And now the cube is ready to destroy. Unfortunately, it's not going to do much destroying. And there it goes. We're not going to use much slow-mo here, but the camera is going to freak out a little bit at times, or most of the time, actually. I'm trying to stabilize it somewhat, but that doesn't exactly work out. So, yeah, this is just dumb. It doesn't show us anything. It's now as flat as a piece of paper. So, that's going to do it for this video. Until next time, this is WhyBeAre. And remember, if you like or dislike this video, I'll know. I can tell by how ridiculously heavy the cube is. So do the right thing, and I'll see you next time.